Snow fell hard on the quiet colony streets. Wind howled between the metal buildings, pushing sharp ice through every corner. Most people stayed inside. Only those who had no choice walked in this bitter cold. Jacob walked alone. He was a middle-aged man. His face was rough, his beard untrimmed, and his coat had holes at the sleeves. He worked hard during the day, cleaning vents and old power pipes, but tonight he was tired, too tired. His legs ached, his back hurt. And in his pocket, he had only 1 credit left. 1 credit, he muttered to himself, looking at the glowing food machine, just enough for a small meal. He stepped forward, but something stopped him. There on the frozen ground was a shape. Small, thin, shivering. It was a girl. She had no coat, no shoes. Her skin was light purple with faint silver lines. Alien. Her head had short tendrils like hair, but they were frozen stiff. Her eyes were closed. She looked like she might die. People walked past her. Some glanced. Most didn't care. Jacob looked at the food machine again, then back at the girl. He sighed. Damn it. Instead of pressing the food button, he turned left toward the supply stall. A young vendor looked bored behind the counter. 1 thermal blanket, Jacob said. That's 1 credit. The vendor replied without looking up. Jacob handed over his last credit. He took the rolled-up thermal blanket, walked over to the girl, and kneeled beside her. Hey, he said gently. No answer. He reached out slowly and placed the warm blanket over her shoulders. The girl flinched, eyes opening suddenly. Her pupils were wide and glowing. She looked terrified. It's okay, Jacob said. I'm not going to hurt you. She looked at him, blinking slowly. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. He wrapped a blanket tighter around her and stood up. That's all I can do. As he turned to walk away, he heard a soft sound behind him. Shh. Shh. He looked back. She was crawling after him. Jacob blinked. You can walk. The girl nodded once, weakly. He sighed again. I don't have food. No money. Nothing. Why follow me? She didn't answer. Jacob walked away. She followed, step by step, shuffling behind him like a shadow. He reached his small shelter, a metal box near the edge of the colony. Inside, it was barely warmer than outside. 1 heater buzzed in the corner. A broken light blinked on and off. He opened the door, then looked back. She was still there, shivering, silent. Jacob opened the door wider. Come inside. The girl stepped in slowly, holding the blanket tightly. Jacob closed the door. Sit near the heater. She sat. Her hands reached toward the little orange flame. Her shoulders finally relaxed a bit. He poured some old soup from a can into a metal cup. It wasn't much, but it was hot. He handed it to her. She sniffed it, then sipped. Her eyes widened. She drank all of it in one go. Easy, Jacob said. That's all I've got for now. She looked at him and smiled. Just a little dud. Jacob sat down across from her. You got a name? She tilted her head. He pointed to himself, Jacob, then pointed to her. She blinked, then placed a hand on her chest. Sorry, sorry. He repeated. She nodded. All right, sorry, you're safe now. At least for tonight. Later that night, Jacob lay on his bed, old seat. Old Mike, Old Nasuj had so niggardly kiss has the luxurious texture that glides on smoothly and leaves a rich, long-lasting color. He repeated. She nod. Nod neej, so receive Me nots a. Me not see. Me not see. Me not see Medela. My nots, by we make .a lia. Pay my night de lev. By my maid me segred. .a siglai skip. Mattress on the floor with a few thin sheets. He stared at the metal ceiling. He couldn't sleep. His stomach growled. His hands were cold. Then he felt movement. He sat up. Sari was next to him, curled up on the floor, still holding the blanket he gave her. Her back was to the heater, but she was still shaking. Jacob sighed. "You'll freeze down there." He moved over and tapped the mattress. "Here," he said. "It's warmer." She hesitated, then slowly climbed onto the edge of the bed. She didn't touch him, just lay close enough to feel some of his warmth. The heater buzzed quietly. Jacob closed his eyes. That night, for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel lonely. And outside, the snow kept falling. Jacob woke up to silence, the kind of silence that felt strange, like the world was holding its breath. He turned his head slowly. She was still there. The alien girl. Sari lay beside him on the mattress, curled up like a child. The blanket he gave her was wrapped tightly around her small body. Her breathing was soft. Her face looked peaceful for the first time. Jacob sat up and rubbed his tired eyes. "What are you doing, man?" he whispered to himself. He stood, stretched, and walked toward the heater. It had gone cold. The fuel cell was empty. No more heat for the day, and no more credits to buy another. He looked over at Sari again. She was awake, now watching him. Her bright eyes locked on his. "You're still here," he said. She nodded. He pointed to the door. "You can go. You're not a prisoner." She didn't move. Instead, she stood up, walked to him, and gently placed her hand on his arm. Her skin felt warm, surprisingly warm. Jacob looked confused. "You sure you're okay?" She pointed to the heater. "No fire." He shook his head. "No fuel." She looked around the room, then touched the floor. For a moment, her fingers glowed faint blue. Jacob blinked. "What are you?" She didn't answer. Instead, she sat again back to the wall, like she belonged there, like this place was home. Jacob stepped outside. The cold wind bit his face. Instantly, he wrapped his coat tighter and walked into town, hoping someone still owed him a favor. But the colony was quiet. Too quiet. He passed a board near the supply post. Something caught his eye. A poster. A wanted poster. The face wasn't clear, but the shape, the eyes, the markings. They looked just like hers. Unknown alien specimen code. SA006. Approach with caution. Dangerous if provoked. Jacob's stomach turned. He returned quickly. Back inside, he stared at her again. She looked harmless, cold, lost. But the poster, it said something else. He sat down beside her. "Sorry," he said carefully. "Do you know this?" He pointed to a sketch he copied from the poster. She looked at it. Her smile faded. She nodded once. Then she reached for a piece of broken plastic from the floor and began drawing on the wall. Jacob watched first. She drew a long tube, then people. Then herself alone, locked in a pod. Her hands shook. She drew more guards, wires, and finally, a burst. Escape. Jacob felt a chill. "You ran away." She nodded again. Then, slowly, she pointed to herself and said, "No, go back." Jacob's voice turned serious. "They're looking for you." Her eyes filled with fear. She reached out, touching his chest, whispering one word, "Safe." He didn't answer right away. His home was small, cold, poor. But for some reason, he didn't want her to leave. He nodded. "Safe for now." Later that evening, she cleaned the room without being asked. She picked up broken parts, organized tools, even fixed the flickering light. Jacob watched, surprised. "You learn fast," he said. She smiled. "Help. You help." "Me?" He looked down. "Yeah, guess I did." That night, when he lay down again, she didn't wait. She quietly joined him, blanket in hand. No words were said, But the room felt less cold, and Jacob, for the first time in years, didn't feel useless outside. In the dark streets, a tall figure stood at the edge of the colony. It wore a black visor. Scanning the air, a red light blinked. Target signature detected. The next morning, Jacob opened his door to frozen silence. The wind had stopped. The sky was gray. Snow covered everything. But something was wrong. He looked down. Footprints, not human. Long, wide clawed. They led up to his door, then vanished. Jacob's heart skipped. He turned quickly and shut the door. Locking it, he checked the window. No movement outside. Inside, Sari sat on the floor, fixing his old radio. Her glowing fingers worked carefully with the wires, humming a strange tune in her language. Jacob walked to her. "Did you hear anything last night?" She looked up and shook her head. He sat beside her. Someone was here, watching. Her hands paused. Slowly, she stood and walked to the door. She placed one hand near the metal frame. Her eyes closed. Then she opened them fast. "Fear hunters," she whispered. Jacob frowned. "What do you mean?" She touched his hand and made a sound like click-click hiss. Then she drew a sharp symbol on the dusty wall. 3 eyes in a triangle. Jacob had seen it once before in old files. It was the mark of a private alien tracking company. "They found you," he said. Sari nodded. Jacob's hands clenched into fists. "They're not taking you." She looked at him, confused but touched. Later that day, Jacob went to town to ask questions. No one spoke to him. Eyes looked away. Whispers followed behind. "She's with him." Fool gave her shelter. Dead man walking. The colony was afraid. And fear made people cruel at the market. Jacob asked a trader he once helped, "Did anyone ask about me?" The man gave a quick nod. To off-worlders, black armor, no faces. "Paid good money for your name." Jacob's throat tightened. "And you gave it?" "I have a family," the man whispered. "They said she's a weapon, not even alive." Jacob said nothing. He walked away. Back at home, he found Sari standing by the broken window. Holding the blanket like a shield, she was shaking. "They came," he asked. She nodded, looked through. He knelt beside her. "We can't stay here." Oh, she looked at him with wide, worried eyes. He opened a crate in the floor and pulled out a small pack and old survival bag from his mining days. Only one bedroll, one thermal sheet. Barely enough for 2. He stuffed food, water tabs, and tools inside. Sari touched his shoulder. "You go, I stay." Jacob looked at her. She meant it. She was willing to stay behind to keep him safe. "No," he said firmly. "I'm not leaving you. You understand?" She blinked, then nodded. That night, they didn't sleep. They sat close, huddled in silence. Listening once, they heard a sound, metal boots on snow. A shadow passed near the window. A slow hum buzzed from outside. Jacob grabbed a tool wrench. The shadow paused, then moved on. Sari was breathing fast. Her skin glowed faint blue, a gount of fear or power. Jacob couldn't tell. He touched her hand. She calmed. "Tomorrow," he whispered, "we disappear." She leaned into him. "Together," she said. But outside, in the distance, a dark ship landed in the frozen woods. 2 tall hunters stepped out, scanning the area. One of them held a glowing sphere. It whispered, "Target heartbeat confirmed. Close range." The snowstorm had passed, but danger had not. Jacob and Sari moved before sunrise, quiet, careful, cold. Jacob led her through hidden alleyways behind the colony. Past fences, past vents, blowing weak steam. Past people who watched but said nothing. No. One helped, but no one stopped them either. They escaped into the wild zonal ruins just outside the colony. Abandoned mining bunkers, broken towers, and steel shells eaten by time. It was dead space, perfect for hiding. They found a half-collapsed bunker and crawled inside. It was cold, dark, and smelled like rust. But it had a roof. It had walls, and it had silence. Jacob sealed the door with a metal bar. Sari sat in the corner, her hands trembling again. "You okay?" He asked. She didn't speak. Her lips were blue, her skin dim. Even her glow had faded. Jacob opened his pack and pulled out the thermal sheet. "Here," he said, "get under." She wrapped herself, but still shivered. Jacob sat close and wrapped. One side around himself, her eyes met his, still cold. He asked. She hesitated. Then slowly reached for his hand. The moment their skin touched, something changed. A spark, not a real one, but a feeling, like warmth from inside her body, flowed into his bones. His fingers stopped aching. His chest stopped hurting. Even the air felt less sharp. Sari blinked, surprised too. Jacob looked at her. "What was that?" She touched his chest. "Link begins." "Link." She closed her eyes, whispering slowly. "We bond through touch. My kind, we live by shared heat, shared breath." Jacob was speechless. She looked into his eyes. "You saved me. I give warmth back." They sat close, side by side, under the blanket. Her hand never left his. Slowly, her glow returned soft blue under her skin, pulsing like a heart. Jacob watched, amazed. "You're glowing again." She smiled. "You make it happen." He laughed softly. "Didn't know I was good for anything." She leaned against him, resting her head on his shoulder. In that moment, they didn't feel hunted, didn't feel poor, didn't feel broken, just warm. But outside the ruined bunker, danger crept closer. 2 hunters moved through the trees. Their scanners beeped softly. One of them stopped. He raised his weapon. "She's here." The other nodded. "The human's with her." "Kill him?" "No." "Bring both. Alive." They activated their masks and began to move in. Inside, Jacob lit a small emergency lamp. He looked at Sari's drawings on the dusty wall. Symbols, patterns, stars, spirals. "What is this?" he asked. She pointed to Wanan's old circle with 3 lines inside. "My home, far lost. You want to go back?" She shook her head. "No more home. All gone." Jacob was quiet. She placed her hand on his chest again. "Now, this home." He smiled gently. "Guess I better keep it warm then." Suddenly, the lamp flickered. A sound, metal scraping on the outer hatch. Sari jumped. Jacob grabbed his tool wrench. "They found us." She touched the wall, her hands glowing brighter. "Hide," he whispered. But she didn't move. Instead, she looked at him and said softly, "If they take me, I die." "You too." Her glow turned brighter, brighter than before. Jacob shielded his eyes. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "Protect." And then the door exploded inward. 2 hunters entered, but the light from Sari's body filled the bunker like a rising sun. One hunter raised his gun to slow dot. Boom! The glow hit them like a wave. It wasn't fire. It wasn't lightning. It was energy. Pure heat and force. One hunter was thrown outside. The second crashed into the wall. Then dashed silence. Jacob opened his eyes slowly. Sari was on the floor breathing hard, her glow fading fast. Jacob rushed to her. "Sari." Her skin was hot. Too hot. He held her tight. "Stay with me." She opened her eyes. "Bond complete," she whispered. Then everything went black. Jacob woke up to heat. Real heat. His face was sweating. His hands were damp. The cold was gone, but So was the quiet. He looked down. Sari lay in his arms, glowing softly. Her breath was weak. Her skin burned like fire. But she wasn't moving. Sari, he whispered. No answer. Sari, wake up. She opened her eyes slowly. You used too much, he said. That blast, it nearly killed you. She gave a faint smile. You live. Worth it. He shook his head. No, I won't let you burn yourself for me. Her hand found his. We are bonded, she whispered. Now your warmth feeds mine. Jacob stared at her. What do you mean? Her eyes sparkled. You keep me alive. He didn't understand it completely, but he felt it. Something had changed. Her body pulled heat from his, but didn't hurt him. Instead, it left him calm, strong, like they were two pieces of the same system now. The bunker was still dark, but no longer freezing. He stood slowly and looked around. One hunter was gone, ran off. The second lay broken near the wall, suit sparking. Jacob searched the body. He found a small chip marked with a logo. Crindle Corp. Biorecovery Division. This wasn't a bounty, he muttered. This was a recovery team, like she's property. He stepped outside. The wind had picked up again. Snow blew in sheets across the empty forest, but high above, a light blinked. A ship, big, silent. Watching, they knew she was here. Jacob went back in. We have to move again. Sari sat up slowly. Can't run forever. He nodded. Then we stop running. We make a stand. She blinked. Where? He looked at the dead hunter's gear. There was a tracker tablet still glowing. Showed the ship's location and their heat signature. Jacob smiled. If they want heat, he said, let's give them a fire. They moved through the back tunnels of the mining ruins. Sari walked slowly, still weak. But Jacob stayed close, helping her over broken ground. Pushing old doors open, they reached the old reactor core. Dead for years, but Jacob had worked here once. He knew its secrets, a hidden vent, a fuel line, a way to overload the system. He turned to her. You still have energy left. She nodded slowly. Then we turn this place into a sun. They worked together. Jacob fixed the control lines. Sari pushed power into the reactor, glowing brighter as she did. The room got warmer. Then hot, then burning. Sari knelt down. Can't. Hold it. Jacob placed his hands on her shoulders. Take mine. Her glow jumped into him, then back out. The bond between them flared. She stood up stronger. Together, they lit the core. Outside, the ship landed. A full strike team of armored hunters walked out slow and steady. Their scanners locked on the signal. One hunter raised a hand. Target inside. Go. They stormed the ruin. But Jacob was waiting. He hit the control switch. The reactor pulsed. Once, twice. Boom. A massive flash of light blasted through the ruin's heat, force, fire, and sound. The snow around the structure melted instantly. Hunters were thrown back. The sky glowed orange for miles in the middle of it all. Jacob and Sari stood shielded by the last burst of her glowing power. The hunters were down. The ship lifted off, escaping, broken and empty. Jacob turned to her. Are you okay? She nodded. We win. They walked away from the ruins together. The bond between them was not just warmth now. It was life and something deeper. The ruins were gone. Burned, melted, turned into black. Steel bones and rising smoke. But Jacob and Sari walked. Voila. They didn't speak for a long time. The snow was gone near them, vaporized by the blast. The ground steamed beneath their boots. Trees were scorched. The sky above still glowed red. Jacob held Sari's hand tightly. Her body was warm now, not glowing bright like before, but alive, steady, calm. They stopped at a ridge, looking down. At the forest below, it was quiet again. He took a deep breath. "I thought we were dead back there." Sari smiled faintly. "We almost were." Jacob looked at her. "Why risk so much for me?" She didn't answer with words. She stepped forward and pressed her forehead to his her kind's way of showing. "Truth," then she whispered. "Because you gave your last warmth to me. Now I return it." They built a new shelter hidden inside an old cave. Far from the colony, Jacob used fallen trees and metal scraps to block the entrance. Inside, they built a small bed from thick blankets, a heater from salvaged coils, and a light powered by her energy. Each night, she touched the wall and made it glow softly, and each night she curled beside him. Not because she was cold, but because she wanted to. One night, as stars filled the sky, Jacob asked her, "Do you still feel like you're running?" She shook her head. "Not anymore." "Why?" She looked at him. "Because now, I'm not alone." He smiled. Then suddenly, she touched her chest, eyes wide. "Something is changing." Jacob sat up. "What do you mean, my body?" "Growing stronger." "The bond? It's deep." He looked worried. "Is that bad?" "No," she said slowly. "It means I trust. Fully, the bond is complete." He didn't understand all the science, but he felt it. Their warmth no longer came from fear or survival. It came from something else, something like love, but far above. In orbit, a new ship arrived, not hunters, not Krindle Corp. This one was bigger. A military cruiser inside high-ranking. Humans studied the surface scans. "Explosion signature shows alien energy," one officer said. "Trace patterns match the escapee. Any local contacts?" A soldier brought up a screen. Jacob Kern's colony worker. No known family. "Last location, mining ruins." "Send a drone," the captain ordered. "If he's hiding her, we want them both." Back in the cave, Jacob and Sari were unaware. They were sharing food, simple dry rations, and boiled root vegetables. Jacob looked at her. "If you had never collapsed that night, if I had never bought that blanket?" She placed her fingers over his lips. "No, if," she said. "You did. I lived. We are here." He smiled. Outside, snow began to fall again. But inside the cave, it stayed warm because of her, because of them. High in the sky, a drone dropped silently from orbit. It locked onto a weak heat signal in the forest. Two life forms dot close together. It moved lower, silent, fast and deadly. Inside the cave, Sari suddenly TENSED. She stood up fast. "Something's coming." Jacob grabbed his tool wrench. Again. She nodded. Only this time, she wasn't afraid. She stepped into the open air, eyes glowing, body warm, power humming beneath her skin. She was no longer running. She was ready. The forest was quiet, but not for long. Above the trees, the drone moved like a ghost. Silent wings, cold eyes. It saw the heat. Two life signs, one human, one alien. Target confirmed. Inside the cave, Sari stood at the entrance, eyes glowing, skin alive with power. Jacob pulled on his coat and walked beside her. "We could run again?" She shook her head. "No more running." He looked up. "It's not soldiers this time, it's drones. Maybe more behind them. Then we fight." Jacob raised a brow. "You sure you're strong enough?" She took his hand. He felt it instantly. The bond, hot, steady, complete. She was more than strong. She was ready. The drone dropped low, scanning for weapons. Sari stepped into the clearing and raised her arms. The drone fired a warning pulse. Sharp blue energy crackling toward her. Jacob shouted, "Watch out, T," but she didn't move. The beam hit her glow, T, and vanished, her shield made. Of pure heat melted it. The drone paused, confused. Then it charged its full cannon. Jacob ran forward. No, but Sari didn't flinch. She whispered something in her own language, released her energy. A golden wave burst from her skin, not just heat, but memory, emotion, love, the full strength of her bond with Jacob. It hit the drone. Mid-dash air, and the machine melted like plastic, crashing into the snow in pieces. In orbit on the military ship, alarms went off. Drone 14 offline. What happened? The captain barked. Some kind of thermal overload. Unknown tech. Or maybe a living reactor. Recall all scouts, the captain ordered. We're not ready for this. Not yet. The screen went dark. Back on the ground, Jacob ran to her. Are you okay? Sari smiled, tired, glowing faintly, but alive. Yes. We're free. No more hunters. Jacob wrapped his arms around her. I spent my last coin on a blanket, he whispered. She laughed gently. Now I am your warmth. He kissed her forehead where her glow shimmered brightest. Weeks passed, they built a small home deeper in the forest, safe. Hidden, quiet. Sari planted glowing seeds from her world. Jacob hunted and repaired tools. They shared everything: food, work, silence, and laughter at night. They lay under one thick blanket. She no longer shivered. He no longer felt alone. One evening, while watching the stars, Sari whispered, "If you hadn't helped me." Jacob stopped her. "Don't say it. You're here. We're here. That's what matters." She nodded and placed his hand on her chest. "You are my heat now," he smiled, "and you are the fire in my life."